That's so,
Okay.
it's so weird when it comes up saying that.
Yeah, like, oh God, this is real.
Well, hello Z. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join me on like the Coco Bell podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I
I'm
really
just so,
appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on because you're a huge deal. I'm gonna just say it.
No,
And
I
hugely
already like
talented.
from there.
um you just, I mean, because like I came across you, it was a few years ago. I came across you because you had an editorial piece in Surf Girl magazine.
Oh
And
yeah.
so it was a little bit of time ago, but I just, as soon as I saw your artwork and how they were talking about you, I just really fell in love with what you were doing and what you were offering the world. And don't look so coy.
Thank
and
you.
and just the, well, so just to tell everyone on the podcast, you produce the most beautiful, usually resin based artwork, and you, that usually takes place on pieces that you have on, like you display on the wall, but you also apply the resin to skateboards and surfboards as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
which
correct.
is fantastic.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, I was lucky enough to see some of your beautiful work when you kindly invited me to your studio
Oh, that
in
was so
September,
nice.
which, which was just really great. And I'm just so glad that through the way that things panned out, through seeing like the article in Surf Girl magazine, to following you for a while on Instagram, that I eventually like invested in one of your lovely pieces, and then I got to meet you, which is great.
Yeah, yeah, it's so cool how that all went, just from
It,
a magazine to meeting you and your friends, and now we're here. So yeah,
exactly.
it's really
So,
cool.
and like you've got some of your artwork that I can see behind you, which is beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so,
my house is a bit of a mess, but there's a few.
I
There's,
love
my
them.
house is always covered. There's always pieces everywhere.
And they're just,
Yeah,
they're stunning. I mean, to get the full impact, I think you need to see, you need to have really like really good high quality like photography, or like to get the full impact to see them in like real life. um
yeah,
because like for example, Claire's piece that she bought, the long piece Trade Winds, like
hmm,
that had the ghost pigment in it that you said
yeah,
about, which was
yeah,
fascinating. And you could only really see that depending on which way the piece was displayed, up, whether it
yeah,
was up one way or the other. And
yeah.
yeah, as I said, to get the full impact, I think you really need to see them in real life.
Yeah,
So
it's true. Yeah, it's quite hard to capture them just with a camera. A video sometimes works, but then the quality isn't that great.
mm,
So yeah, sometimes, well, everyone who has had a piece of mine, they always say that they look even better in person. So that's
they
great.
really
It
do.
wouldn't be good the other way around, of course.
It's
So
so true.
yeah,
So
good feedback.
literally, when I got my first piece, like I literally opened it because I bought You Are Golden,
Yeah,
the
yeah, I
the
know.
second one, because I was really sad at the time that the first You Are, because it was a series of two, but and I was really sad that the first You Are Golden had like disappeared and
Yeah,
had been sold. And you said, "Oh,
yeah.
number two's still available." And literally, I was like, "Oh no, it's not the one I want." And then I thought
Yeah,
about it overnight, and then obviously I bought it because I thought, you know what, I really like it. And
yeah.
literally, when you posted it to me and when I opened it, I was just like, I was like, "Wow, this is incredible!" Like to see the
Thank you so
detail
much.
in it.
It's
So
so nice that
obviously,
it turned out that way, that you
it was
liked it better
perfect.
in person.
So obviously we've established that you're very talented. How did you come about finding that you had this talent for like art and resin art?
Well, I think I was always quite a creative kid. When
Mm-hmm.
I was younger, I was always making stuff, drawing, painting, and making jewelry and writing stories and things like that. So
Yeah.
I was always kind of in my own world.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I had friends as well, but I'm really good at spending time by myself.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, well, I always thought it would be cool to be like a full-time artist, but there wasn't that many examples in my direct environment where that was
Okay.
being shown as possible. Yeah, and then after high school, I went to Barcelona for 3 months to study Spanish, just to get some freedom and inspiration and just find out like who I am and what I want to do in life. And then I came back and kind of fell into an existential crisis sort of at 19 or 18. And then I wasn't doing so well for like a year and a half, I would say. But I really found a lot of peace and grounding and inspiration in nature. So I was going out in the forest almost every day and taking my dog out and sitting in trees for 5 hours a day, just listening to music. And in the end, I realized that I should study something that teaches me about nature. So, but also gave me an opportunity to like travel a lot. So I found this course called animal care and wildlife research. So I studied that for 3 years, and that allowed me to go away for like most of the course, I would say. So I spent time in Tenerife and Thailand, and that also gave me more of a taste of the world and what I wanted to do. And even though that was also amazing, I felt like there was still something missing, kind of like I just knew that I needed to get in touch with my creativity and use that part of my brain. And also I really wanted to learn to surf. So eventually one of my best friends who was living in Australia, she said, just come over and stay with me for a couple of months. And she also recommended this surf camp in Lombok, which is like a boot camp style, super intensive surf camp in the middle of nowhere, basically. And so I moved to Australia when I was 23 after graduating. And then from there, I took this trip to do this surf camp. And when I got there, it was just like, oh, my whole life I think just everything just slotted into place, or at least the beginning of like the unfolding of this new start of my life, I would say. It was just so stripped back from Western luxury, like no advertising, no internet, no clean running water, and just waves and jungle and good people and lots of inspiring people who are living very different lives, which I found really motivating and inspiring as well. And then, so I learned to surf there, and I also met my still current boyfriend in the middle of nowhere. So I felt like everything just fell into place. And there was a guy who broke his surfboard, and he got 2 new boards made by the only local shaper that was around, and he asked me to paint on them. So that was a really cool opportunity where I got to work in the shaping bay, and that for me was like, oh shit, like this is something I need to do, it was just I just knew it. So then I went back to Australia, and we did long distance for 1 year. So we were just writing and calling for a year, and we saw each other every 3 months for like 2 weeks. And then eventually I just moved to Lombok when I was 23. And then the guys at the shaping bay, they taught me about surfboard glassing and all the techniques that come with that. And they just gave me free reign on the shaping bay, like just make all the art that you want on the boards. And that's where I kind of became obsessed with resin, because that's what you use to glass a surfboard. And basically when you glass a board, the resin falls off, the excess falls on the ground, and it forms these like puddles with all these textures and colors. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, we need to do something with that. And that's where I kind of started experimenting with resin on wooden panels. And this is a very long story.
No, it's not. No, because this is fascinating. Like, it's so interesting, and it just proves that if you, like you said, you were having obviously like an existential crisis, and then you, in a way, you just you took a pause and you went like back to nature. You did what you needed to do, but then at the same time, you very naturally took a pause and then followed your intuition and your bliss almost.
Yeah, exactly.
And you let that guide you, and by not having that pressurized mindset as I have to do this, I have to do that, it has guided you into something that has fulfills you creatively, and also allows you to make a living, which is the ideal space.
Yeah, exactly. So, I feel like I was never, like, even in high school, there were just people around that already knew they wanted to be a lawyer, or wanted to go in the Navy, or just have like, I want to be this or that. And I never had that. I just knew that I wanted to get the fuck out of my hometown. Excuse my French. But I just knew, I don't know, I just had to see the world and just live differently. I just didn't know how yet. So I think it's good to take some time to yourself and just figure out what you actually want to do. There is no rush, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, now you said that you wanted to learn to surf. Was that something that like was it just always like something that you wanted to do, or was it something that came to you like one day, or was it
it's actually so cliche and hilarious. When we were on a family holiday in Belgium, of all places, where there are barely any waves, I was literally 12, I think, and we went to the cinema. We watched Blue Crush.
Oh, this is hilarious. I love this.
So cliche. Yeah,
no, it's brilliant.
And my sister, and we were all like, oh my god, this is the bomb, you know. And the next day we were all pretending to be in the movie, but on bodyboards.
That's so like, fun. I love it.
Yeah, and since then, I don't know, I just always wanted to learn properly. And me and my friend, the one who was in Australia, we kind of tried to surf when we were 15 or 16 in the Netherlands and in France as well. But we were more doing it because it was cool, or it looked cool, but had no idea what we were doing. Just so cringe. And then, when I was 23, I was like, no, we have to do this. Like, actually start from the beginning and learn how to do this semi. I still suck, but it's fun.
Do you find, because I hear that surfing is like, in terms of a sport to master, it is quite soul destroying, because you have to keep trying and getting it wrong and trying and getting it wrong.
Yeah, it's a very slow process, especially for me, because I'm just such a slow learner with absolutely everything anyway, and I'm not the most sporty person, I would say. And you know, there's so many factors involved. There's your fear, if you have any. There's the wave conditions and the weather and how you're feeling in your body, and just everything. And everything changes almost daily. So it can be quite a long process to feel comfortable and feel like you know kind of what you're doing. And then still have like style, and I don't know. It's interesting. But worth it for sure.
Good. And then, so going back, so you're living in Lombok and you are experimenting with applying the resin to wood now. How did you go from the experimental stage to thinking, actually, like, I can make like a business out of this? Was it as simple as that, or was it that you were applying the art to the boards and people, or sorry, you were glassing the boards and people? Let me start again. So. Okay. So when you were experimenting with the resin on the wood, I'll dial down the question and not make it so big. What made you realise that you people were showing interest, and that you could maybe translate this into a business? Where was that transition between experimenting to, wow, this is like really something?
Good question. I think with the boards, when I was doing art on the boards, it was I was just doing it for fun and for free. Actually, the first 1.5 years, I just do it, you know. And also the shaping bay was kind of an escape from my other job that I had as a surf photographer, and living in a surf camp was like super social, which is great, but also quite hard for an introvert at heart. So it was like a great place to hide from people and also be creative and have air conditioning. So that worked out well. And then with the paintings, I actually really had to think super hard about that. Not even about the business part, because I never expected any like financial return. That was never my goal. I just knew I wanted to like experiment so much with it and just try to make stuff for myself. So because I was earning like a local wage, which is literally 200 euros a month, and resin is super expensive, and all the wood and the inks, I had to import everything from Australia and from Bali, and I knew that was going to take literally all of my savings. So I had to think very hard about if I wanted to do that, which in the end I did, and it was worth it. But I just made a couple of pieces in Lombok. Some are still there, some were sold, and some are literally, I don't even know where, in my old house or in the shaper's house, or I don't even know what happened to them, which is cool. But then we moved to Australia after 3 years, and I was working kind of as a nanny there and as a cleaner, but doing the art on the side, literally in the garage. And I saw this thing come up about this group exhibition, and I just thought, okay, I have to do something. You know, I'm just gonna try to make like a series and just put it out there. And that went really well. I was again just super nervous, like worrying that it's not good enough, or I don't know. It's super scary because I think as an artist or creative, or you're kind of inherently super vulnerable and sensitive. So when you then put it out there for other people to judge, it's quite scary. But it went really well. And well, then I got deported from Australia, and then we kind of had to make 180. So we moved to Cornwall, and that's when me and my boyfriend decided, you know, screw it, just get a studio. A studio, and you know, don't get any other side jobs, because I was always having, you know, 4 jobs or something, 3 or 4 jobs, and we just thought, no, just put all this time and effort into the art and just see how it goes. And after 3 months we were like, oh, okay, you know, this is working. And so that's 3.5 years ago we moved here, and I've just never looked back since, kind of. So it kind of happened. I never thought, oh, I'm gonna make money out of this. It just happened organically. So that was a really long answer to saying because it's like it's given me like another couple of like questions on the back of that, because just thinking what you said is obviously when you moved to Cornwall, and we'll come to obviously leaving Australia in due course, I expect. And the just when you made the decision when you came here to be like, no other jobs, I'm going all in on like what I want to do you think that really had like because a lot of people will and like as you did previously, a lot of people will have full-time employment, they'll sort of like they'll kind of half commit to their side hustle, etc. Do you feel like in your particular circumstances that it really helped you to just be like, no, I'm going all in and that is it? Yeah, for sure. I think because we just had lost everything, you know, we had to move like that. You know, we had a car, we had a place to live, jobs and things like that. We had just already lost everything, so even trying this out wasn't like a scary
like
thing.
A huge risk. No,
the thing I just been through was super traumatic, so this was like, oh well, you know, we'll just see how it goes and commit. And it just felt right. I don't know. And we, you know, because in Australia we had to save money. We kind of had this space to do that. So I didn't have to get a job right away. But I always thought, you know, I can always go back to work in a cafe or study or do something else. But let's try this first and then
see. I'm so glad you did.
Thank you. Me too.
And then I also, when I was listening to hearing you talk, I know you said earlier you're like an introvert and you used to like to hide in like the workshop. But then when I listen to your life and like the risks you take and leaving home and living in different countries and trying new things, and then just being like putting your art into like an exhibition in Australia, like these are all very brave things to do for anyone, never mind like someone who identifies as like an introvert. Is
Yeah.
it, would you say, like, I'm going to try and get it the right way round. Are you an extroverted introvert, or do you really just feel
Yeah,
like you're
maybe.
driven by
Yeah, I
something?
think I'm just very driven.
Mm.
I know what I want, and I know, or I think I know how to get it. Like if I want something, I will get it, basically. Yeah, that sounds so spoiled and arrogant.
No, it doesn't.
I
It
can
really doesn't.
really manifest shit. Like my
Yeah.
entire life, I've manifested basically. I mean, I've worked hard, and I've
Yes.
been given opportunities, but I also know that when opportunities come, I know
Yeah.
which ones to take and
Yes.
which ones to leave. And that's a very intuitive process, I would say.
That is. And
Not
that's
so much
such a
thinking, it's more feeling.
and
Yeah.
that's a really it I think it's so important to be in tune with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm super grateful that I have that. I think it's like superpower
It
almost.
is. It
Yeah.
is. I agree with
Yeah.
you for sure. And then obviously, so that charts your journey so far. Can we, like, in terms of challenging periods of your life, I
Mhm.
assume that you might want to talk about what happened. Well, you don't have to talk about what happened in Australia, but I'm more interested in terms of not necessarily like making you relive the trauma of what happened, but more like, how did you go from picking yourself up again, and how did you dig deep and overcome?
Yeah. Um, yeah. So basically, I can tell you what happened. It's so long ago, and I'm also glad it happened because it brought me here, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, we were living there for 6 months, and we were just saving up, and we were living with a family.
Mhm.
Um, I kind of helped out with the kids and things like
Mhm.
that. So I was on a tourist visa because I had already had my working visa.
Yes.
And every 3 months I had to leave the country. So the
Okay.
first time I went back to Indo to see my friends, and then the second time I went back again on the 6 month mark for my
Mhm.
birthday and to see my friends. And then when I came back, I tried to get back to Perth, they held me at the border and they started asking questions. And then they took my phone and my passport and they put me in interrogation for 6 hours. I wasn't allowed to call anyone. They didn't give me any food or water. Oh, they did give me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And yeah, basically they called my host where we were living and they figured out that I was kind of working for them
Right.
as a nanny. So yeah, basically we just let our guard down. We were just stupid, you know.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, they put me in detention for 4 days, which is like it's basically prison, but looks like a shitty hostel. But yeah, I didn't see the light of day for 4 days.
Oh my
And then the
gosh.
fifth day, I spent all day in Bali on the airport under security as well. In it, literally in an orange vest, like they just treat you like a terrorist.
God, they go
Uh,
hard.
yeah, so that was great. But eventually they sent me home
Mm.
to the Netherlands. So I just rocked up. I hadn't seen my mom for like 2 years. Like, hi, I'm back.
Surprise.
Yeah. And at first I was like, oh, this is fine, you know, we'll figure it out. And then it kind of hit me because my boyfriend was still in Australia and you know, we had a whole life to pack up there
Mhm.
and also now what, you know?
Yeah,
We were kind of on
sure.
a roll to save money and kind of get back on track and set up our life in
Mhm.
a more sustainable way than living in Indo for 3 euros a day. Which is also great. Yeah, and then I think we didn't see each other for 7 weeks, so that was really hard. And it
Yeah.
also just, I don't know, that whole experience definitely broke something because the way they treat you,
Yeah.
to have people treat you like a criminal and they have no soul behind the eyes, that was actually terrifying. So in that the whole time I really had to yeah, just try to come back to myself and calm down a lot. I was reading a lot of poetry by Young Pueblo. He's my favorite writer. Just
Yes,
to
I know him.
yeah, oh, he's amazing.
Really, really good.
Yeah, but I had so much anxiety and nightmares every night for 7 weeks. So I think almost every night I was listening to ASMR videos. I don't know if you know that. It's literally like a
No.
Russian lady folding towels,
Oh, really?
like really high, really sensitive speakers or sensitive
Okay.
microphones. And
Hmm.
it's like relaxing for some reason. Really weird.
Oh, I think that's yeah, I think it's a good thing. What you got to find what you like.
Yeah,
everyone's
it's
different.
very popular. You should Google it. It's so
Do
weird.
you know what? I will actually.
Yeah, weird, but it works. So yeah, I don't know. I think spending time with my family and just catching up with them and being out in nature again really helped. It was summer back then, so it was kind of a nice time to come back. And when Ant came back, we just had to figure out what we're going to do. And then he found a job and we found a room, and 2 weeks later we were here. So yeah, it all happened very quick. So yeah.
And then 3 years later you're in Cornwall still.
Yeah.
Which is lovely.
Yeah, it's good. It all panned out very well. I don't know.
Panned out very well. It did, yeah.
And it was planned, but you just gotta roll with it, you know?
It's hard, like, especially at the time when you're going through it and you think, oh man, like this is like so dark, and like I don't know how, like I can't see how this is ever gonna like work out again.
Yeah, literally just lost everything, and like now what? I also didn't want to make art anymore. I was just super uninspired, and actually then I got a couple of custom requests when I was in the Netherlands, and they helped me get back into it. And then I was like, no, I need to keep doing this. And that kind of helped me get through it.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, good. So pleased. I'm so pleased you didn't go, I'm not doing art anymore.
No, that would have been a waste.
It would have been a complete waste. And the universe would have been like, really? I gave you all this talent and you just decided to stop. And so living in Cornwall at the moment, like, and I know obviously you said how important like nature is to you and surfing, etc. It's like, just talk to me about like, so would it be fair to say like your inspiration comes from like nature and the sea especially?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then how
oh, sorry, you go.
No, carry on. This is about you, it's not about me.
I feel like no. I feel like I've always been committed to, or have a goal to live in beautiful places, and so far I'm doing quite well with that.
Wow.
I think I need that just on my eyeballs every day. Like I just need to have beautiful places to look at and to feel and experience. And I don't know, even when it's bad weather, which is 80% of the time here, I can still get inspiration out of the moody colors or different textures that we can see, you know? But definitely 100%. If I had to pick one thing that inspires me, it's nature for sure.
That's amazing. And then how do you like, so you see just talk me through the process. Like I know obviously with like custom pieces you have like probably a loose sort of spec from the customer, but like how, if you're creating a piece, what does the process look like for you from like the point when you're like, I need to make another piece, or I'd like to do another piece, and then where do you go? Is there a process that you follow?
Yeah, sometimes I feel like there's just a gap between when I think about it to the finished piece. I don't really know what happens. But also, I just feel like I have this inspiration bank in my mind from experiences and travels and places I've seen, or plants or birds or even textures in a wall or a pavement. I just always pick things up wherever I go. And I just store it in there. And then when I paint, or paint is more like pouring and burning and these things. But I just mix colors that speak to me, I guess. I never really plan them ahead. They just kind of, today I feel like using these. Or music also really influences my art. I can listen to, classical piano to Ariana Grande and then hardcore metal.
Why not? It's all about having an eclectic life, right?
I think different styles of music can influence the vibrancy and the colors as well. And moodiness, or if it's really like bright and or more lighter. Yeah, it just depends on my mood. But like you said, with custom orders, people usually send references, like the titles of artworks that they like that I made, and try to make something unique for them. So then I know what to do. Yeah.
And so in terms of when you like create a piece, like don't like if you were just creating like creating a piece for yourself, or like sorry, like to sell, like how long does it take, and like what, because when I came to the studio you said about building up the layers and how long that takes and that.
Yeah.
So just remind me if that's all right.
Yeah, of course. So first I have to prep the panel. So just paint it white and make sure there's a nice even underground background.
Yeah.
Great. Because then the colors pop more as well when it's white. So I do that, let it dry for 2 days, and then the first layer can start. So I just use epoxy resin that's specially made for art, and it's a hardener and a resin, and you mix them together. And then I divide that mixture into different cups, which I all mix different colors. I use like powder pigments or inks or like creamy pigments. I don't know what it's called. And then I pour them, move them around with my hands or with tools, and I use like a heat gun or a blowtorch to get certain effects. And the pot life, so until it starts getting too sticky to handle, it's about 45 minutes to an hour. So after that, I have to just leave it be and let it cure for 12 hours. And then after 12 hours, I can add the next layer. And each of my paintings has like 5 to 12 layers. And then the final clear coat is has to dry for 5 days before I can ship it.
It's such a long so you just think like in terms of creativity, it's such a long process as well, like 5 to 12 layers is like it's and
I can have a couple, sorry, you go.
No, carry on. Go.
I can have a couple like in different stages of the process. So I always have a bunch in the studio that are in different stages. So one has just the clear coat, or one has 5 layers, the next one has 12 layers. So I'll finish them at different stages, also because I have to move things around in a certain way in the studio because it's quite small. But one day I'll have a huge studio with like different stages, you know, I can just move around and lots of pieces at the same time.
You will, I'm sure. And like in terms of like just thinking about yourself as like an artist, and just like the nature of in terms of the nature of the world as it is now, do you find like there is now a lot more pressure on artists to show up and be present on a consistent basis on like social media? And do you find that really is like helpful in terms of getting clients, or do you find it really just having to have that consistent like, oh, I'm here on Instagram today? Do you find that detracts from the creativity and the creative process?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because also this is a conversation I have a lot with my friends who are all like, almost all of them are artists or illustrators or business owners, and they all have to deal with this, you know. And I remember like back in Lombok when I just started out, my boyfriend, he said, you need to get Instagram, and I was like, no, I don't want that. I came here to be offline for the rest of my life, you know. I don't want to be anyone. I don't want to do all that cringy branding, you know. Look at me, I'm an artist. I find it super cringeworthy, but in the end, I guess I just slowly started putting things on there, and it just slowly built my audience. And it's a love-hate relationship, I would say, because it's giving me so much. Like, it's literally built my business.
Yes.
It's given me friendships and connections. Like, we wouldn't be here today if it was for Instagram.
It's so true.
Oh no, actually, you find me in the magazine, so we would have.
I only kept seeing your work through that, because I said when you launched the pink, I like when you launched the pink paintings, I DM'd you and I was like, I'm so
Yeah.
excited. A little bit of we came out.
Yeah, I remember. Oh my god, that was the best reaction I've ever had in my life.
But yeah, so it is I've come about, like, so from being like, that was a really lovely article in a magazine, to like following you on Instagram, that's allowed me to be a purchasing and a repeating customer.
Yeah.
And then through that and because it's so easy to like touch base with you for Instagram, that's what brought Claire and Giovanna to you as well. And I know that loads of other people have seen Claire's work and Claire's Trade Winds piece, and they're like, we need to get some.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
It's hard though, isn't it?
Like, yeah, it's amazing. And I wouldn't have been able to do, half of the collaborations I've done. I've worked with album surfboards in America, and with Marion from Surfista Surfboards in France, like all throughout the pandemic, basically, just online, and I wouldn't have known them if it wasn't for Instagram. So and I've met my a lot of my real life friends here in Cornwall, literally. So it's like Tinder for friends. It's great.
It is,
but it's also exhausting at the same time to keep up and to make a brand out of yourself when you're a whole human being. You're just putting 1% of your curated highlight reel out there, and people think that's your life. I mean, it is my life, but there's also other things to my life.
Lots of other things.
You don't see, like rejections or insecurity or failures and back pain and like pulling all-nighters and being fucking tired. Like people don't see that. And don't even get me started about beauty standards on Instagram. And just it's so toxic. I think you really have to set firm boundaries and just cull everyone that makes you feel like crap,
shitty about yourself,
doesn't inspire you.
No, exactly.
Set timers and sometimes just do a detox. Like that's the best thing I've ever done with my friend. Like last year we read a book called Digital Minimalism, and we took 30 days where we were super strict with social media, and it literally felt like the 90s. It was amazing. Yeah, it was such a good feeling. I should do it again. Yeah,
it's only when, because I find myself, I will literally just pick up, if like my phone is always in my hand, it's so hard. It's just I don't know.
I've actually deleted Instagram off my phone, so I only have it on the iPad, which I mean, but I use the iPad for work. So when I sit down, I actually have to make effort to open the iPad. And it's like, it's big, right? So you don't bring it with you in your pocket. So I mean,
it's a good idea.
Yeah, that's helped a lot. So good. It's a love-hate, I would say.
And then if you were like looking back on your life, if you had to give advice to your younger self, or even if you want to play it forward and be like, right, I'm older and I'm giving advice to myself now, what advice would you give yourself, do you think? I think the easier one is probably now to younger self. What advice would you, so maybe even like, what would you give to young Z sitting in the tree in the Netherlands?
That's so dark.
Bless you.
I would just say you're gonna be okay. And you're gonna live a fucking amazing life. One day. You're gonna do all the things that you feel like you're not good enough to do. And there's gonna be really good people in your life. And one day you're gonna feel good in yourself, like in your body, and feel like you're healthy and you deserve what's coming for you.
Oh, and you do. You deserve so much and everything you have and more.
Thank you. You too.
That's made me really emotional, actually. Oh, no, that's amazing. So, like, thank you so much for your time. You've been utterly amazing as a guest. And I'm so grateful.
Too much. I never know like what I'm saying. And
you were perfect. It's really fascinating and interesting, and like if people, well, of course, when people hear this, they're going to want to see your work and find out more about you. So where is the best? I know we've just like had a don't go on Instagram moment, but like where's the best place to, what are your handles and where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, it's hilarious. Like Instagram, don't go on Instagram, but
find me on Instagram.
Yeah, find me on Instagram at under the Z. So it's like under the Z, but with ZEE at the end, and underthez.com as well. It's easiest. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
okay.
Anyone who's interested.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will put your details obviously in the show notes as well, so people can find you really easily. Have you got are you doing many projects at the moment, or are you got other things going on, or
I have 2 magazine features coming and a really exciting collaboration as well. I can't say anything yet, and then shooting a video in January also. So suddenly it's all happening at once, but it's good. I'm just finishing my commissions now for the year because I'm going to the Netherlands in December.
Lovely.
I haven't seen my family for 2 years, so I'm going to spend a whole month there and just do nothing and just eat and catch up. And then when I'm back, we'll see. Just make more art.
Sounds absolutely divine. Well, thank you so much for your time.
So nice to see you, and thanks for having me.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.